City Council meeting of February 18, 2020 has come to order. Can we please stand up for a Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment silent for the first responders and the military members. Thank you. Please be seated. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista.
Present.
Councilmember Aguilar.
Present.
Councilmember King.
Present.
Mayor Samra.
Present.
For the record, Mayor Pro Tem Garcia is not in attendance, but his absence is excused.
Thank you. Closed session announcements. There are no reportable actions. Council, changes to the agenda. We did have a presentation. Maybe they're running late. Oh, perfect timing. So we have, first item is the presentation by Mayor Samra recognizing Jasmine Alberto, Jesse Alberto, Joshua Milan, and Parvashan Mal of the Livingston United FC. And I think we have the representative from them. Anna, would you like to come forward and introduce the people, please?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ana Alberto. I know, sorry, we're running a little late, but we should be having the other two kids that are here to be recognized. I thank the city of Livingston for doing this for these kids. This is the first time, I think, on my end that I know a kid from Livingston being nominated as a top U.S. player in the whole United States. And I do want to let you guys know that not only that they were nominated and were able to have this wonderful showcase experience, but they were also, we just found out last week, 3 of them were selected for the All-American Gold Cup in December to go to Florida. So our Livingston will be represented in Florida December in our soccer youth. Jasmine is 9 years old. She started, I think, about 3 years ago playing soccer, and she actually plays against boys. She's very aggressive, and you know, she wants to be like Alex Morgan or Sergio Ramos. That's what she wants to be. Jesse Josue, he's been playing for about competitive, I would say, about 2 years. And he wants to be a little Messi, so that's his dream, to be like Messi. And I have also, they're hiding behind me, I'm sorry. Come on. And then Jesse Alberto, his dream is to be a professional player. Also, he wants to be like Cristiano Ronaldo. We're missing Prop Sean, and he should be here any second too, but he also wants to be like Cristiano Ronaldo. This is something it means a lot to them, because this is a step to teach our community that your dream stops whenever you want it to stop. And our goal is not to necessarily, as a club, to win. It's more to develop them to be where they're at right now. So I appreciate this recognition to these 4 kids. Like I said, Prop Sean is missing, but right now we have Jasmine, Josue, and Jesse. And our goal is to be able to have more kids within our community from Livingston be recognized that, you know, in a small town, there's a lot of talent.
Thank you. Do your players want to say anything? I doubt so, because they look pretty shy.
I don't know, because if the kids are shy, the parents might be shy too.
No, I was asking if the players are.
Oh,
parents,
the players.
if
I thought you said parents.
No? So, unfortunately, Professor Sean is not here, so maybe we'll just do them for the three at this time, and when shows up, we'll take care of it at the time too, so, okay?
Well,
I'll call you guys one at a time, okay? That way you get each get specially recognized, okay? First one up, Jasmine. Come on out here. So how good are you at? Can you kick the ball from here to the door? Huh? So how would you kick it? Demonstrate. Oh, from here to here? Do you kick it like this or you kick it like this? How do you do this?
I kick it like this usually.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, no, I heard you're a good player. Do you think you're a good player? So are you gonna, so what do you want to do when you grow up? Because right now you're 9.
I want to play a professional soccer player.
Wow, that is good. You're gonna make all that money, huh? So what are you gonna with all the money you're gonna make?
I'm gonna help my children to get school supplies and clothes.
You're gonna help your children? Wow, you're already planning ahead, aren't you? Okay. Well, for your hard work and everything you do, we from the city, your city council, city manager, and the entire city is going, we want to thank you and appreciate all the hard work you do, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this to you, all right? You know what? Why don't you read it?
In recognition for your accomplishment and contributions to the community, the Livingston City Council, City Manager, and staff commend you for your achievements.
Wow, she's actually a good reader too, huh? I think we have to give her another award for her reading skills too. Okay, Jesse. So how old are you, Jesse? 11? Where do you go to school? Middle school? Can you kick the ball all the way down like Jasmine can, or does she have to help you? You can do it? So how do you kick? You kick like this, or you? Oh, laces, huh? So what are you going to do when you grow up and get older? So what's your plans? You want to be a professional player too?
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with all that money? Because she's going to give it to her kids. What are you going to do?
I don't know.
You don't know? You're going to keep it for yourself, huh? Good job. Maybe you should be a politician. Anyway, what I want to do is what I want to do is, Jesse, is in recognition for your accomplishments and contribution to the community, the Livingston City Council, City Manager, and the staff commend you for your achievements. Very good. You want to say anything? No? Okay. Wait, I think someone's hoping that I don't call him next. Prabhashan, come on. So you tell me, what grade are you in? Six? Where do you go to school?
Livingston Middle School.
Do you like going to school? What's your favorite subject?
Math.
Math, huh? Have you decided what you're going to do when you go graduate from high school?
Yeah. Go to college.
Well, so, so you're not planning on being a professional player? You are? What are you going to do in college?
Learn.
What are you going to learn? Don't know yet? You're going to wait another 6 months to find out? Okay, that's okay. So can you kick the ball from here to the door? How would you kick it? With your laces? So how come Jasmine likes to kick this way? Do you know why? Did some people kick the other way and you kick the other way? Okay. Well, I think you'll, don't be nervous. It's okay, all right? All right, Prashant, we have a certificate for you, and it says, in recognition for your accomplishments and contribution to the community, the Livingston City Council, City Manager, and staff commend you for your achievements. Congratulations. Okay, last but not least, Joshua, come on. Are you nervous? Never be nervous, huh? Because if you're nervous, you can't play soccer, can you? You have to think like when you're playing or when you're there, you have to think like you're on the world, right? Everybody's looking at you. You want to put on a show for them, right? So how would you kick the soccer ball? Is that normal? Which way is better? To this way, or is that however you like to play?
Usually I like to kick it with this part.
Is it easier for you? Yeah. How far? Can you kick from here to the door? Yeah. Easily. Every time. And if we were to open one of the doors, you will kick it right through like it was a goalpost? Maybe. Even at an angle, you can do it? Yeah, you can, huh? So where do you go to school?
Campus Park.
What grade are you in?
4th.
4th? You like going to school?
Yeah.
What's your teacher's name?
Mrs. Baines.
Mrs. Baines. Oh, okay. You have a favorite subject there?
Yeah.
Which one?
I like science.
What kind of science?
About the history of countries.
Very good. Very good. So are you going to go to college?
Yes.
What are you going to do in college?
Learn.
You know, kids are always honest. You can't get them, you know. So anyway, what I want to do is we want to recognize you for your achievements and how good you are. And we're really proud of you and all of your player mates. So it says, in recognition for your accomplishments and contribution to the community, the Livingston City Council, City Manager, and staff commend you for your achievements. That's it. Thank you. Huh? Yeah. I want you guys, everybody come on up here, all at once. Come on. Okay. I want you guys to want you guys to wave at the camera. Now, you do know that the city is watching you right now, right? You're on TV. You guys didn't know that? Tomorrow you can watch yourself on YouTube too. Yes? Put it on your Facebook, put it on whatever you guys do, okay? Tweets or whatever you guys do, okay? All right. Huh? But not during school. No, not during schools, okay? All right, guys. Thank you. Can we get a photo? Jake, please.
Just a quick little reminder, we actually selected March 10th. We're going to have the unveiling of and the naming of the soccer park. So we'll let you know in terms of the time once we figure out what time is best for council, but March 10th.
Thank you.
And also, what I wanted to add, it's great that we recognize our players, but there are also a lot of folks in the background that make it possible for them to play, and a lot of them don't get recognized. At all recreational facilities, our volunteer coaches, the players, the staff, there's a lot of people that make it possible. Anna, you, and your entire team, from the Livingston, we also want to thank you for taking the achievement. This is a lot of work to do that. So thank you very much on behalf of the city as well.
Thank you so much. We couldn't have done it without our community support. I know that I do want to mention one last thing. These 4 kids are also, top A honor roll kids, top students in school. So this recognition, I mean, it means a lot for not only our program, but our community. And, we will be doing, we'll invite the whole city of Livingston. We'll be doing our tournament that we do every year for business against businesses. We'll be using some of that money to help these kids fly to Florida, hopefully in December. So, we want to invite city council and everybody that would want to participate to make it possible for them to go.
Thank you. Let's give everybody a big hand. Okay, moving on to, there is no Supervisor Espinoza. He says that he wasn't able to make it. City staff announcements and reports. Mr. Hatch? Ms. Benoit, Recreation?
Good evening, everyone. I just have a quick announcement. Today was the cutoff line for the Rec Commission applications, and we did receive 5. So I will need direction on how you guys want to go about selecting, whether you want to have interviews, whether you just want them to come here and you will ask questions. It's totally up to you, however you'd like to do it.
Okay, council?
I think we should have an opportunity to just review the applications and maybe invite them for the next council meeting.
Yeah.
If we have additional
Yeah,
questions.
if you have questions, yeah, that's a good idea. Anybody, are we okay with that? There you go, Jackie.
All right. Thank you so much.
Jackie, real quick, it's for three positions?
3 and an alternate.
So it's 4 total?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Let me make sure, I haven't used this one before. Oh, there you go. Thanks. Appreciate it. You guys changed up clickers on me, man. I'm confused. Anyways, my monthly update. Last month, they did a ribbon cutting and groundbreaking at the Campus Parkway ribbon cutting. I was out there. There's a lot of who's who out there, especially our congressmen, which is neat. If you guys aren't familiar with this campus parkway, it's going from 99. It's going to finish up at the UC Merced, and so this was like the second part of that. So it was really neat to have them here, and I had a chance to sit down and talk to them about some things in the future here. And as always, Congressman Costa asks about our explorers. He's always asking about them, and he does plan to visit them pretty soon. Some of our school activity, again, we encourage our officers to attend the classrooms, read to the kids, interact with them, be that role model. And as I mentioned in the past, both Captain Sawyer and I are not shy. We'll do our part, and we went to Campus Park. I want to give a big shout out to Deanna Soria. Her and Maribel have implemented Coats for Kids program. This is their second year in the row they've done that. It's in conjunction with our Cops for Kids. They take the Kohl's cash. When they buy toys, they get Kohl's cash, and they ended up purchasing, I think, there was over 40 coats, and they were able to distribute them to some of the families here in our community going through the schools, and it was really neat to go to different schools. All our officers participate in the program, go to the schools, give students some coats, and basically to keep warm. So again, big shout out to Deanna Soria and Maribel and Kristen Hill, who's part of that program. Northern California Special Olympics kickoff. The regional kickoff, there's two Special Olympics components, one in Southern California, one in Northern California. And Merced hosted the Northern California kickoff meeting for all the activities that will occur within Northern California. And they was held at the Merced Elks Lodge. The chief from Santa Clara PD came out, Dan Winter. Again, this is coordinated by Officer Godfrey, who is the coordinator for the Northern Division. And one of the things I asked Chief Winter about was some of the things that are going on in our county and in our region, but also I asked him about the 49ers because this was right after the Super Bowl, so we had a good conversation on the Super Bowl, and he did actually want to come out to Livingston and talk about the program, so it might be something that we host in the future. We had a collaborative meeting with our DA, some members of the Indian community about some things going on. Future planning, and as you know, Mr. Nirvel Singh is very active throughout the region and hosts different collaborative meetings, and the next one's going to be in series, and I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but he is right now planning for another meeting, and the mayor has been invited to that and has attended several times, so it's a need to participate and collaborate and work with many of the elected officials and members of the community. Along the Special Olympics line, our Special Olympics polar plunge team a couple weeks ago jumped into Lake Tulloch, and we raised money for Special Olympics. It's something all the participants volunteered their time to do, and it's if you've never been in Lake Tulloch in the morning on a Saturday morning, it's actually quite cold, but it was fun. We took a picture with the team from Save Mart. They had a huge team, and our team won the best costume for second year in a row, which is kind of exciting. Last year we had some Hawaiian-themed outfits, but it's all for a good cause and helps raise money to allow some of the special athletes to participate throughout the region. And it's something that, one of those things that I've been involved with for a long time and I hold dear to my heart. Big shout out to a couple of graduates, Anthony on the left, Turlock PD, and our Felix Carrillo on the right, graduated from the Regional Training Academy here in Stanislaus a couple weeks ago. And as if you don't recognize him, Felix is one of our explorers. He's been an explorer for about 5 years, participated in many different events, and it was actually very rewarding to see him achieve his goals and accomplish these goals. Our program has actually produced 3 full-time law enforcement and probably about 10 civilian staff within agencies throughout the region. And I attended, Anthony on the left, Turlock PD, I attended his graduation, and he's obviously a friend. So I want to invite our council and the community to the Officer Dispatcher of the Year ceremony. These pictures are from last year, but this year, the Dispatcher Appreciation Luncheon will host the Dispatcher of the Year for our department on April 15th for lunch at 11 o'clock. And then the officer will host a dinner on April 22nd at 5 o'clock. And again, appreciate the mayor's attendance and that last year, and it's something that I will again be the MC for the event. And we have actually invited Sarah Sander from Action News 30, who's accepted our invitation to co-MC with myself, so it'll be a lot of fun. I want to thank the city manager for coordinating the Alzheimer's training we had at our department last week. All our department members went through training on a Wednesday. And actually I attended, and there was some things that I didn't know, which I learned, and it was very important to understand some of the characteristics of Alzheimer's and how to address it as from a public safety standpoint. And it was not only for us as we're working as law enforcement officers, but also in our personal lives when we come across somebody who might be experiencing symptoms of some Alzheimer's and other conditions that impair their thinking. And our explorers. The Stanislaus County Regional Training Academy hosts a day where we took our explorers out there. And again, a big shout out to Officer Baldivian and Officer Vieira. These are some explorers that attended, and some of our cadets, which are the explorers at the lower level, the middle school level, or the two young gentlemen in the very front. They were actually the fastest for this course. And again, this program is an outstanding program developing our youth into the leaders of the future in our community. So I want to, again, Officer Baldiva does a super job, and can't do this program without him. I was given this picture last week. That's enough. Oh, Chief White had to leave. That's the first fire chief, Harold Gilbert, and the first police chief, Chief Horace Gilbert, father and son. And you can't see it because it's in black and white. If it was in color, it would be kind of like a green and a tan. His jacket would be green and pants would be green, almost like the sheriff's department, and the shirt's tan. So it's kind of neat to have that, and we're going to put that on our website. So some historical. Again, I'm very fond of history, especially here in Livingston. I'm a lifetime member of our museum, so it's neat to see those old pictures. Something that will be very important in a couple years here when the city celebrates its centennial in 2022. Do you know when the picture was taken? It was I don't know the specific date, but they said it was about 1945 or 46, something like that. I did ask Babs Ratzleff, who is the curator at the museum, and that's about the date they came up with. And I want to thank our traffic safety committee. We have a few members in the audience here. Mario, who had to leave, our engineer, Anthony Chavarria, Helen. We had our second meeting today, and we collaborated on a lot of different things. Some really, really good ideas came out there, but some of the things that we worked on is we've got a priority for several different locations in the city. We've got Peach in the Briarwood area. We have Briarwood area between F and Peach. And then also Main and I Street. Those are areas that we've had some complaints about speeding. And so we threw out several different ideas as far as what we could do to impact and educate our community on speeding and the issues that arise out of speeding and collisions. Several different options. Anthony Chavarria provided some documents as far as some of the options and the costs involved and some equipment. Again, in the reduction of traffic collisions, you look at the 3 E's: engineering, education, and enforcement. And engineering, basically, you're going to do things to the street to make it more conducive to reducing collisions. Engineering, kind of like the roundabouts, an engineering component of that. Education, educating the public, whether it's through social media, whether it's through meetings, whether it's through pamphlets and flyers and things like that. And the last one is the enforcement. That's where we actually go out and write citations for people that might be speeding. That's the number one cause, especially around the Peach and Briarwood area. So the recommendations that came to the table were to see if we can allocate some funding to purchase a radar trailer. And something that we do have some trailers, they're old. We actually have one that all the lights are out. We could not get it repaired. we try to get it repaired, and Captain Soares could not find somebody that would be able to repair it. So we want to get something that's newer to put out and move around in different areas and remind the motorists the speeds, and follow it up with some officers that would might enforce some of the speed violations, and not necessarily write citations, but if the minimum is warn our motorists traveling at high speeds, and at some point that might be something that will develop into more of an enforcement campaign. We're actually writing citations to our residents, which we don't want to do. We want to educate them first and tell them, and remind them of the dangers. Chief White, who had to leave, sounds like he had a call. He actually came up with some different ideas that the fire department can implement in those areas, and so we're going to look at some of those as well. So, bottom line is, Vanessa, we need to find some money to buy some trailers. And if council's interested, the costs that Anthony provided, I've got some extra sheets. I actually put them in the back of the room so the public can view them as well. But there are several different manufacturers of the radar trailers. The standard trailer can run anywhere from $8,000 to $9,000. That's kind of the bare bones minimum. And there's other added components. One of the things that I actually appreciate is if we had the ability to put a signboard on the trailer, which will, and you've seen them on the freeways, Caltrans has them, you could put messages like, DOI messages, speed messages, schools in session messages, don't drink and drive, hands-free driving, those type of things. Those are messages that we can put out in the community, and again, part of our educational campaign. So again, I want to thank our traffic safety committee. They did a great job, and I really appreciate their involvement. And I think that's it. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Public? Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chavar? Anthony? Nothing to report? Finance? Ms. Bertil, any to report?
Mayor, good evening, Mayor, council members, Vanessa Portillo, Finance Director. Tonight, what I have for you is a mid-year budget review for the fiscal year 2019-2020. A quick overview of what we're going to review tonight is going to be, I'm going to provide you with a little bit of background. Also, we're going to do a quick funds review. What we will be looking at tonight is a general fund review, a review of the funds that are supported by the general fund, and just highlights of any other funds that might have significant changes for this mid-year budget review. We also have prepared a 5-year forecast projection that I'll be showing to you, and then we'll walk you through some next steps, and we will have some room for questions. Just a little bit of background. Council approved the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget on June 4th, 2019. The budget, it is the roadmap for the city, for us, the departments, to carry on with the city council's goals and visions, and it just paints it's the blueprint of the city to be able to go through the spending plan and to have a projection of the revenues that are collected and what we're going to do with those funds. We normally provide periodically we do different reviews of the city funds, how they're tracking, how the expenses and the revenues are coming in, and to ensure that we're living within our means in the city. Also, at the city managers and city council's request, we have prepared this review, and we're bringing forward to you at the mid-year report tonight. As I said, we are going to provide you with this review for the general fund. The general fund is where our discretionary money comes, and pretty much it's what funds our city administrative expenditures. So at mid-year, you can see we have prepared this table. We had a projection of $6.1 million in revenue and expenditures of about $5.5 million at the time when we adopted the budget. At that point, on June 2019, when this budget was adopted, we were forecasting a surplus, meaning that our revenues were going to exceed expenditures of about $600,000. So at that point, we did not have anything set aside to do with this surplus of $600,000. So it normally goes into the city savings accounts or our fund balance. Our fund balance was estimated to be at that point at $3.6 million. And between June 2019 and today, fast forward to January 2020, we have had a couple of items that have changed the composition of our budget that was approved. Some of those amendments, you can see it on the second column. We had some revenue from some funding that came for police. It was a small amount, but we are reflecting it in this column for amendments. It was about $12,000, and you can see that our expenditure line has changed to an increase of $1.3 million. This increase was due to it was two major factors that increased our expenditures in the budget. One of them, it was a settlement for a developer agreement that we had come into finalization between the September-October timeframe. And the second item that caused the increase in our budget was the labor negotiation and the agreements that were also finalized in the September-October timeframe, and we had this big jump in expenditures in our budget. Along with that, there was a budget reduction enforced to departments that receive general fund support in all of the general fund departments. Along with this exercise of the budget reductions, those departments were able to achieve $452,000 in savings. Savings came from non-salary items, meaning that departments look very, very close at items such as maintenance, contracts, anything that they could do in order to enforce some cost savings, some reductions, and that is the bottom line, the result of our budget reduction exercise. The last column here is our projected budget. We are expecting to receive the same amount of revenues that we have projected at the beginning of the year at $6.1 million. Between the budget increases and the budget reductions, we are projecting a total expenditures of $6.4 million. And now you will see that we have a net deficit, meaning that our expenditures will be greater than our revenues. Bottom line, we will be tapping into our city savings or our fund balance by $300,000, and you will see the difference between what our fund balance was at the time we approved the budget and what we are expecting it to be now at June 30th, 2020, when we complete the fiscal year 2019-20. It's going to be $2.8 million. At the same time, since the labor negotiations was a decision that impacted all of the departments across the board, we are showing here in this table the three major departments that receive a big general fund support, which is our community development department, our recreation, and our gas tax departments. And for them, their budget, their expenditure budget was expected for community development at $645, $531 for recreation, and $681,000 for our gas tax. Their budget reduction that you see there, these departments rely heavily on a budget, on a general fund subsidy, so meaning that the labor negotiation affected salaries that increased each one of these budget units, and each one of those budget units was able to provide some savings from non-salary areas into their budgets in order to mitigate the general fund support that they would have needed in the event that they wouldn't have made those changes and achieved those savings. For all other funds, just some highlights. We have our Fund 1214, which is our Citizens Option for Public Safety, or COPS. We received higher funding in this fund. We received about $53,000. And Council, you have seen this item. It came to you in January of this year to do a budget amendment to increase the revenues and to also increase the expenditures in this budget unit. At the same time, our water operations funds and our wastewater operations, they both looked into their maintenance and operations contracts and their budgets, and our water operations was able to save $400,000, and in our wastewater operations also is reflecting $55,000 in cost savings. In front of you, you have this chart. This is a 5-year fiscal projection that we have been working on, just kind of forecasting, saying, you know, if the revenue trends continue to behave the way that they're doing today, and our expenditures continue to behave the same way that they're doing today, what will it look like within the next 5 years? And what we're seeing right now is, to date, we are projecting a shortfall in our 1920 budget by $300,000 so far. However, we know that some of these items are part of like a one-time expenditure, such as the development agreement that was part of our budget increase. And you can see the future years where, 2020, 21, and 21, 22, we seem to be able to weather the revenues versus expenditures, but after that, we are projecting that our expenditures will definitely start outpacing the revenues, and we will be starting to tap into our fund balance. So that is something that we will definitely be working on. in order to control our cost and find new revenue options. With that, our next steps as a city, what we are doing right now and what we will do for the future is to look into any of our vacant positions and just continue to keep them vacant. That will be determine whether or not these are like critical positions based on business needs for the city. Also, we are looking at our fees for services to ensure that those fees are reasonable and they support the programs that we are providing. Also, we're looking into our permits and business licenses to ensure that the fees are collected timely, that we are collecting our fees effectively. We're looking into agency partnerships so that we can do sharing of costs and sharing of resources. Economic development, it's big in order to retain existing businesses and attract new businesses to our city. And we also continue to look into any grant opportunities to expand or provide short-term relief for any programs or initiatives that we may have in the city. And that concludes my report. Council, if you have any questions, I'm happy
Council,
to answer.
questions? Now, for minutes, there was, and Jose or whoever you want to, last meeting, we approved a contract for general plan. Does that already take into account?
Yeah.
So
He's
even though,
he's specifically talking about the contract for the general plan.
yeah, so that's already taken into account. That was
Some
not
of-
projected in the
Well,
beginning.
we budgeted about half of that amount.
So, okay.
And then in the future, we have other development impact fees as they come in. Keep in mind, this is gonna be about a 2-year
Right,
process.
right, I get it. I just wanted to make sure that that was already accounted into it, so that it has some impact, yeah.
Yes, and council, on top of that, the monies that we are using to fund the general plan update, they are earmarked, or these are coming from fees that can only be used for that
Yes.
purpose.
Yes. Okay, council, any questions? Now, this is more or less where I expected us to be. I know some of it has been with labor negotiations and some of, but those are projections, and if a business come in, there's a chance to turn this around too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's not. All right, does anybody from the public have any questions? Not, Ms. Patel, thank you very much for an excellent presentation. Appreciate it. You did a great job. First report, you did good. Okay, who do I miss from staff over there? Nobody. Mr. Sanchez, anything to report? Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council. Real quickly, we have, I have a few things that I need to communicate. One, just as a reminder, tomorrow at 6 o'clock in this facility, we're having a reception for the new Mexican consulate, so you guys are welcome. Starts at 6 o'clock. And I also want to thank the Suave Dental across the street, Villa's Mexican Restaurant, and trying to remember who else. They basically are donating the appetizers and things of that nature, so thank you very much. And I think it was Gallo who donated some of the wine. Also, in addition to that, what I have here that I'm kind of showing is kind of like a lottery / bingo game that Mr. Moran is going to host a census workshop here, if you will. It's kind of like a game to educate the community about the importance of being counted. So thank him. I want to thank him for his leadership on that. That's going to be great. He'll have refreshments and things of that nature. Do you remember the date? So we'll figure out the date, but I think it's on the 29th of February, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 29th of February. And then also wanted to ask the council, we checked in with Odie Ortiz's wife, and she talked about March 10th. I didn't know what time council would be available. This is to the naming of the soccer field over at Max Foster Park. So the 10th, we can have it in the afternoon or in the morning, whatever works out a little bit better for council. You just kind of let me know, preference.
Council, any preference?
I'd rather have it in the afternoon, just for work.
The latest possible, probably.
Latest, say 4:30?
Yeah, for 4:30.
4:30? Okay. All right, well, yeah, no, that's great. Okay, fantastic. And I think that's it from my end, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Okay, City Council member announcements, reports. Councilwoman Baptista, anything to report?
I attended the 100-year meeting that was held. A good turnout, lots of feedback, lots of great activities to look forward to in the next, year and a half for planning. I'm really excited. Just want to let Jackie, I received your email regards to the veterans, and I'll get them on board because they do play a vital role in coming to Livingston, with the Air Force Base being just down the road. And that American Legion, they also, again, I know there's some talk about sports, so they played a big part over there with Alverness Park with the American Legion, so try to get that put together for you. Other than that,
Mr. Aguilar?
Yes, just a quick reminder, this Saturday, the 22nd, myself and Council Member Baptista will be hosting a coffee and conversation where we're inviting the community to come out and, just have a conversation with us regarding any ideas, concerns regarding the city and the community as a whole. So we're looking forward to meeting with members of the city and the community. So coming out, it's going to be at 9 in the morning. It's going to be here at the chambers. And I'll be here at the council chambers. So pass the word, please. Also, just save the date on our annual pancake breakfast for the fire department will be May 2nd, Saturday. So the whole community is invited. We're also going to be doing the Fill the Boot event in May, the fire department. I also attended the Centennial kickoff meeting. Just like Councilmember Bautista said, there was a lot of good ideas. A lot of people that are very interested in celebrating the 100-year anniversary of our city. So looking forward to participating in those meetings and see what we come up with. I've also been attending the One Voice meetings, the advocacy trip to DC. Some of the issues that we have discussed in regards to Livingston have been like more grants for public safety, fire and police, homelessness programs, surface water treatment, youth soccer and other recreational facilities, railroad quiet zones, electric aviation program, purple pipe installation. So those are just a few issues that we're trying to take to advocate for. But I also want to have a discussion, possibly in our next council meeting, of who the delegates are going to be. I know I've been attending the meetings and, kind of saying what the concerns the city has, representing the city in those meetings. But I know there's initially, I believe myself and Councilmember Garcia were going to be attending, but I haven't heard from Councilmember Garcia, so I'm not sure. I think we need to have a discussion in the next council meeting.
Okay, yeah, we can do that in next council meeting, so.
And then, I guess a quick question for the city manager. Do you have any updates on the electric cart for the fire department?
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Aguilar. So a little bit of background. We applied for this funding and it's pretty much guaranteed, except that there was a bunch of organizations that put in for the grant itself, and so it got depleted, and then there's supposed to be another round of funding, and so we're working our way through that. They communicated that we should be in the running to get that, so the good part is that we're going to get it. The bad part is that we've been waiting quite a long time for it, but you get your safety vehicle really good.
With this grant, is there any way for the city to front this money and then get reimbursed through the grant? Or I know some grants you're able to do that, but I'm not sure if this one is.
Let's see. I don't know the specific conditions of that. I don't know if any of my staff has. My gut feeling is that we can't upfront the money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My gut feeling is that the case. But Chief, do you know anything about? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've benefited from that grant many times. A lot of our hybrids, our little police car, same thing. But the grant, you have to be approved for the grant first before you can actually spend the money. You will front the money first, but you have to be approved, and then they'll reimburse the city. But it has to be approved before you can make any purchases.
Okay.
Perfect. And then one last thing, I'll be attending the MTG board meeting this Thursday. That's it.
Mr. King?
Yeah, I got nothing to report.
For me, I don't have anything to report either. So we'll move on to public hearings. Item number 2, this is a public hearing, waiving the second reading and final adoption of the ordinance number 642, the City Council of City of Livingston repealing ordinance number 628 and replacing Livingston Municipal Code Title 4, Chapter 1 Building Administration Codes to adopt and amend 2019 California Building Code 2019, California Mechanical Code 2018, International Property Maintenance Code, 2019 California Plumbing Code, 2019 California Electrical Code, 2019 California Historical Building Code, and Energy Code, 2019 California Green Building Standards Code, 2019 California Fire Code, and 2019 California Residential Building Code, and all appendices attached. Mr. Hatch?
Hello, council members. This is your second look at this particular issue. Back in January 21st, it was introduced, and what this is a ordinance, as the mayor gave the title. What this will do is enact at the local level all of the building code additions and updates that have been done at the state level. The state of California has a process by which they establish a building standards commission to look every 3 years at possible changes to the code, updates, corrections, additions, what have you. And this is part of that effort. We've been through it before every 3 years. And what is notable this particular time has to do with rooftop solar. So rooftop solar panels for residential uses is now a statewide requirement. There are some additional minor provisions related to that in terms of some incentives for storing that solar power and some additional improvements for better insulation and the like. Now, as I had mentioned back in January, these conditions and updates are required for local jurisdictions to approve. If we have certain conditions that we feel are climate-based or geography-based or in other ways, there's a justification to have a higher standard for certain items. We can do that, but we cannot have a lower standard than the statewide standard. So that's where we're at. And what we did at the last time we looked at this in January was scheduled today as an opportunity to hear from the public and to have this public hearing for comment, and then bring it back and answer any questions that you might have, and then it's up for consideration for final approval for the resolution to approve these changes. So I'll pause at this point so you can open up the public hearing and see what the public has to say, if anything.
This item is now open to the public. Does anybody wish to come forward?
Catherine Shaw Rodriguez, P.O. Box 163. I have a question about the solar and pre-existing homes. Say we have homes pre-existing that do not have solar, and there is a loss, a fire or some kind of damage to where the house has to be rebuilt or the roof rebuilt. Will it have to be rebuilt to the new standard, including the rooftop solar on it, or can it be rebuilt to the kind of roofing it had prior to the loss?
Mr. Hatch?
Excellent question. And the standard is really if more than 50% of the value of the home is damaged by fire or other issues, then it does have to comply with the new codes. And for an existing home that's been around for a while, that can be significant because it's not only rooftop solar, it may be sprinklers, fire sprinklers in the home as well. And if you look at your homeowner's insurance, oftentimes there's a provision in there that covers building code update requirements. But the magic number is 50%. So more than 50%, yes, it does have to comply with the new standards.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Seeing nobody come forward, public hearing is now closed. Council, comments, or entertain a motion? You can say recommend actions 1 and 2, so if you want.
Make motion to take action on the recommended number 1, number 2 items.
Can we say that, or do you have to actually?
Do I need to read?
I think he's gonna make you read it.
I would read the ordinance because you're introducing it by title only.
Yeah, so go ahead and read it.
Okay. So make motion to waive the second reading and adopt the ordinance number 642 of the City Council of the City of Livingston repealing ordinance number 628 and replacing Livingston Municipal Code Title 4, Chapter 1, Building Administration Codes to adopt and amend the 2019 California Building Code, 2019 California Mechanical Code, 2018 International Property Maintenance Code, 2019 California Plumbing Code, 2019 California Electric Code, 2019 California Historic Building Code, 2019 Energy Code, 2019 California Green Building Standards Code, 2019 California Fire Code, and 2019 California Residential Building Code, and all appendices attached thereto.
I have a motion by Councilmember Aguilar. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Baptista. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista?
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Okay, citizens' comments. This section of the agenda allows the members of the public to address the city council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Members of the public when recognized by the mayor should come forward to the lectern and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes. In accordance with state open meeting laws, no action will be taken by city council this evening. For items which are on the agenda this evening, the members of the public will be provided opportunity to address the city council if each item is brought up. Citizens' comments? Anybody? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, everyone. I'm here on behalf of Assemblymember Adam Gray's office. My name is Peyton Fong. I'm here to ask for your support for Assembly Bill 1980, which removes the automatic application of a 20% tax on all traffic violations. We believe that with state revenue in surplus, predictions exceeding $18 billion, the imposition of a 20% surcharge on costly traffic violations is unjustifiable. On behalf of Assemblymember Adam Gray's office, I'm here to ask for your support for Assembly Bill 1980 to remove the ticket tax. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact our office. I have fact sheets as well as our contact information for anyone who's interested. Thank you.
Yeah, I was in contact with Lisa Montero, and we already have a letter of support signed. So unfortunately, I don't have a copy of it we can give you right now for records, but we'll be forwarding this to the office, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care. Just so you guys know, that sometimes when government puts taxes, they never remove them. 1980, this was put in by the state because of a financial crunch, and even though now we have surplus, we still continue to pay state fees to help the budget, basically. You'd be surprised at some of the fees we pay. There's actually fees to build new courts for there's just on and on, they just tack it. Most of the times, these fees cost more than the actual violation ticket. You could have a $300 traffic ticket, and by the time you get done with the fees, the other fees are over $300 already, so you have like a $600 ticket. And I'm glad that the assembly member is at least paying attention to it. And hopefully, if you guys hearing this, put it out on Facebook, put it whatever you do, let's get some support, because I'm all for justice, but I'm not for, just nickel and dime people to death. It's just not right.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Is this a position you're taking or the city's taking as a whole? Or legal?
I signed that as my support. So it's signed by the mayor. So do you wish to come forward with this, or? Go ahead, state your
I'd rather
position.
not comment on that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anybody else from citizen comment? Okay, if not, citizen comments now closed. Consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial and will be enacted by one vote unless a separate action is requested by the city manager or city council member. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council or city manager requests that this item be removed. Number 3, approve the warrant register dated February 13, 2020. Approve the minutes meeting held on January 21, 2020. Approve the minutes meeting held January 29, 2020. Does anybody wish to discuss, or I'll entertain a motion at this time?
A motion to approve the consent
I
agenda.
have a motion by Councilwoman Bautista. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember Kang. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista.
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar.
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Okay, now we have the fiscal year 28-29 financial statements. This is the audit. And I see Ms. Portillo already coming forward.
Yes, Mayor Vanessa Portillo, Finance Director. Our next item is the financial statements for fiscal year 2018-19. You have these statements as part of your agenda tonight. And we also have our auditor, Mr. Ryan Jolly, He's here tonight to share with you the results of our audit and to answer any questions.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm just going to briefly go over a few highlights, and then I'm here mainly to answer any questions you might have. We completed the audit for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2019 for the City of Livingston. Once again, we issued an unqualified audit opinion, meaning we found the city's books and records to be in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. In addition to the normal audit opinion, we also did a single audit this year because the city's federal expenditures exceeded $750,000. So that was an additional compliance audit we did, and there were no exceptions to that audit either. Just briefly wanted to highlight a few of the funds. The general fund, of course, is the main operating fund of the city. It had a surplus. If you look at page 7, it had a surplus of $387,000 this year. The city continues to do well with the general fund, and overall has built up a fund balance of $3.5 million. And as the finance director mentioned, some of those reserves will be used in this next coming fiscal year. But because of those reserves, the city isn't going to be put in any financial difficulty because of that. Also on the enterprise funds, those are operating as intended. I would just mention again that the industrial wastewater fund continues to have a $1 million negative fund balance. I encourage the city to figure out what the plan is with that fund and either liquidate some of the assets or authorize a transfer from the general fund to relieve that fund balance that's just lingering out there. Also, that's actually the only fund that has a negative fund balance. All the other funds of the city are operating as intended. Following that are the notes to the financial statements. It gives you more detail of some of the financial statement numbers. We've gone over some of the bigger items of the last couple of years having to do with GASB 68 and recording the liability for the pension liability for the city. Also, the other post-employment employee benefits that are an obligation for the city. Those also have been accrued as a liability. There were no major fluctuations in those liability amounts this year, so we'll continue to monitor those and continue to work with the actuaries, both from the state and for the one you hired as an outside actuary for the other post-employment benefit liability to monitor that liability. Other than that, like I say, it was a clean audit. No major, nothing out of the ordinary. We didn't identify any significant journal entries. We didn't have any disagreements with management. We didn't have to consult with any outside consultants. So once again, the staff did a great job helping us complete the audit, and we appreciate the opportunity to be able to continue to work with the city.
Thank you. This item is open to the public. Anybody want to come forward?
Catherine Shaw Rodriguez again with my annual question on having to do with page 9, Statement of Net Positions, Proprietary Funds, Underwater. Am I correct in believing that at the bottom where it says net position restricted for capital improvements, $6,859,044, that's the TCP money? The TCP fund?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? If not, this item is now closed to the public. Council, any discussion? For me, it's always, staff does a great job, as was said, and this just shows the integrity and the professionalism of our finance department, which always does a great job. So okay, based on that, at this time, does anybody wish to make a motion to accept the The report?
I'll make motion to accept the City of Livingston Independent Auditor's Report and financial statements.
I have a motion by Councilmember Aguilar. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilwoman Bautista. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilmember Baptista,
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar,
Yes.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes,
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
thank you. This is item number 7. Thank you. This is a resolution approving the sale of property near intersection of West Hammett Avenue and north of F Street. And
Yes, Mr.
Mr. Ramirez.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council. This particular item, for the public's reference point, this property is located on F and Hammett. It's about .034 acres. And in essence, it's one of our abandoned wells that we have out there. There's currently a little building on there with a non-functioning well. The property owner, adjacent property owner owns property on one side and on the other side. And because of interest on that specific piece of property, it was May of 2019 that we went ahead and had an appraiser appraise the property. The property itself was appraised at $3,000. There is a liability associated with the parcel in that well needs to be destroyed and capped. And because we were approached by the property owner to buy the property, what triggered the appraisal, we had an offer of $10,200 to purchase the property to incorporate that into the multifamily subdivision that's actually programmed for that piece of property there in the corner. So with that, any questions that the council might have, we can entertain it at this time.
Thank you. This item is open to the public. Does anybody wish to come forward?
Good evening. Diego Castillo, P.O. Box 855. We're actually the property owner interested in acquiring that piece if you guys have any questions. And the reason we're interested in acquiring is to make it easier for access through the backside of the parcel and into F to not eliminate the possibility of maybe causing an accident on F and Hammett. And also it would have a nice appearance or a nice curb appeal when you're driving off the freeway. So I'm not sure if you guys have any questions tonight.
Thank you. Council, any questions? Any discussion?
Just, I think, it's a small piece of land and, it's good that the city will be selling it, especially knowing that there could be a good project going in there. So I'm supportive of this.
Yes, and to me, too bad I can't put a condition to say keep those trees, but I think that's not going to happen. So to me, I don't have any problems with that. That one corner that we're talking about, it's always been a area that we need for improvement because it is one of the entries into the city, and I think this will go a long ways. And so to do that and then have a abandoned well sitting there serves no purpose. So, and city can get rid of it and be done with it. So I think we're all for it. At least I am, as you say. So at this time, does anybody wish to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to sell to sell the property near the intersection of West Hammett Avenue and north of F Street.
I have a motion by Councilmember Aguilar. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Baptista. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilmember Baptista,
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar,
Yes.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Okay, this item at number 8, this is a city council to provide direction to staff to make appointment for the planning commission. Mr. Hatch?
Thank you, Mayor. What is before you is, well, we have a vacancy in the Planning Commission, and we've discussed this before. The term of office for Commissioner Bath ended in the end of 2019, and so that position is up. And you have several choices. You can reappoint Commissioner Bath. He has indicated a desire to continue on the Planning Commission. And you could appoint one of the two existing alternate commissioners as well, Commissioner Roth or Commissioner King. Or if the council so desires, we can go out and advertise, see if there are other parties interested, and then you could either interview or review their applications, whatever you feel is appropriate, and make a selection after that process. We did have a meeting, and it was, let me look here, I think it was in early January, mid-January, and at that time there was a thought, well, let's appoint Mr. Bath to the position, and so that came back with that as a possible action and a resolution to that effect. And then at that meeting, it was requested that additional discussion take place, and so that's why we're here tonight. So you have all options before you. I have provided a resolution for appointment, but I have left a blank where the name of the individual that you wish to appoint. So if you decide tonight one of the either Commissioner Bath or one of the two alternate commissioners is your choice, we can put that name in and you can take action tonight. And if you decide to go out and advertise, we'll do that and then come back to you with that process, but it will take longer. So all choices are before you, and the decision is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Hatch. This item is now open to the public. Does anybody wish to come forward?
Mayor, City Council, Bob Wallace, 1697 Spruce. I'm currently the chair of the Planning Commission, and we've had this issue come up numerous times, and it's with the City Council. It's gone back and forth even to when I was first appointed as an alternate. It's one time the City Council just appoints, one time they go out, one time they want all the applicants, one time they go on the mail or advertise it in the paper. There's no consistency between City Council from one council year to another when there's a vacancy. And I think between the city attorney and the council, there need to be a specific guidelines so the people on the Planning Commission know whether they have to submit an application, number one, which was decided by a prior council. You wouldn't take a handwritten note. You had to have your application submitted. We're kind of in a limbo. And when somebody on the commission asks me, what are we doing? Well, I don't know, because it depends what the current council is from time to time. I think that's something that should be changed, and it should be a level playing field, whether it's an alternate commission or my term when it expires this year, or any commissioner, so they all know what's expected of them, and not showing up at one night and say, yep, I want to be on it. Well, did the council even look at their application? Do you know how many meetings they've missed, how many they've attended? What have they done? And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Anybody else from the public?
Catherine Shaw Rodriguez, P.O. Box 163, and a city council watcher since at least around 2007. So I'm going to follow up in agreement with what has just been stated. And as I've noticed over the years, depending on what the makeup on the council or who was on the council or who the people on the council wanted to appoint, One year, it's everybody's really big on transparency and opening it up to the public to give everyone a shot, and then other years, not so much. So in terms of consistency, I wish there was consistency, at least in the part of putting it out to the public every time. And then you gets what you gets, and then you make your decision afterwards. But if you're going to be a transparent and open and honest and transparent body, I think consistency goes hand in hand with transparency, so the public knows what to expect.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? If not, then this item is now closed to public. Council discussion. Ms. Baptista?
I'm in full agreement with that, but I do believe we did send that out as an application process last year, and there was an applicant pool of maybe about 5 or 7, and they came to a council meeting. But this one was opening up a vacancy, so we went this route. Again, that was out to the public for them to put in an application as well, or the applications were still open for review. But at this time, in looking at what's before us now, I would like to appoint Mr. Roth, as he has served as an alternate since 2017, and his service has been really good to the city as on the commission, serving as an alternate. Again, he had a lot of attendance. I haven't been, honestly, I haven't been to one, but again, you know, you want that transparency. You want to know who's done what, who's been where, and who's acting on our behalf for the betterment of development for the city. So I'd like to see that move forward to appoint Mr. Roth and possibly have Mr. Bath as the alternate.
Okay, is that in the form of a motion?
I can do that.
Or before you do, you mind if I hear from the rest of the council?
That's fine.
Mr. Aguilar?
I think, I know both members of the planning commission have done a good job. As far as I know, they've been both dedicated. Either we appoint somebody tonight or open it to the public for applications, and then have an opportunity to review them. I don't know if the alternate members of the commission are even interested in the full-time position. I don't know if there's 2 alternates currently. I know Jason's here, and who's the other alternate? Oh, and it's Wapinder King. So I don't know if we need to reach out and see who's interested and possibly get an application from everybody and then go from there. That makes sense. We want to be consistent.
As staff, we did try to reach out to both alternates to ask them if they were interested, and we only got feedback from Mr. Roth.
Thank you.
And we do know that Mr. Bath is interested as well.
Okay, Mr. King? To me, answer to the original question that was put, why isn't there a consistency from council to council? Well, I'm not sure if any council wants to tie the hands of the other council and say, here's how you must do it. You must lift that legislative body at that time, make his decision based on what they feel is appropriate at that time. So for us to, something in the code, I think is inappropriate. Now, on the other item, to me, Mr. Bath, if we are talking about removing a permanent member and putting an alternate, I understand we don't have to have cause, but are we stating that person didn't do a good job, or, so, or I mean, so there's just a question to remove somebody and then say, because most of the times, I believe, and I don't, and then again, I'm not trying to adjust to anybody, is usually if somebody's been removed is because they've had severe absences or have not been engaged, or, so usually that's something, there's usually a criteria for removing a person or not appointing. And I understand what you want to do. And so we can do either way. We can appoint, and if you wish, we can go ahead and open it up and say, everybody submit a letter. We can do that. So it's up to the council at this time.
Just a question. What has been the practice in the past, like when a commissioner's term expires? Usually, do they get reappointed, or their term gets, it just varies? It varied. Has it varied from council to council?
It varied. It had never. I think I wouldn't want to put myself in saying that it's been one way or the other every single time. I wouldn't be able to, unless I look it up, I wouldn't be able to say that. But I believe we've had a mixture of, we're going to go ahead and appoint, or we're going to go ahead and apply. So we've had both. And it's been up to the council, and, so that's what it's usually been in there, So at this point, does anybody wish to, any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make that clear. When I stated either or, I didn't mean that as a reflection of Mr. Bath's ability to serve to his capacity, rather than his term expired. And I believe in the previous staff reports, it did mention that he would fulfill this role until someone else was appointed. Didn't necessarily mean that he would be reappointed, but that somebody would, upon discussion of the council, that someone would need to be appointed.
Okay, then it comes back to what do we want to do, council? This is usually what I've noticed, and it becomes difficult, is we very easily can look at and say we want street designs this way and that. It's very easy. And when you're looking at people, at Mr. Bath, Mr. Roth, and I have total respect for Mr. Roth and everybody else, of course, it becomes a little different. So I think that's where it kind of kicks in. However, we are here to make these decisions. So at this time, if somebody wishes to appoint, or if you have another suggestion, please, I will entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Roth to the position of planning, the open vacancy for the commission, planning commission.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilwoman Baptista. Do I have a second? There is no second, and then so we're still back to our original. Does anybody need to make a motion or another motion of any kind? I mean, we can say we want to send it back out for, there is no particular motion.
I think
I would like to make a motion to appoint Ann Bath.
I have a motion by Councilmember Kang. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a second by Councilmember Aguilar. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilmember Baptista.
No.
Councilmember Aguilar.
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 3-0.
And just for the record, the motion was to adopt the resolution. The resolution was in the packet, and what we'll end up doing is we'll go ahead and fill in the blanks.
Oops. Thank you, Mr. Hatch. And moving on to number 9, this is the professional services agreement between the City of Livingston and Sigala Incorporated, and authorize city manager to enter into a contract with form approved by the city attorney. Mr.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and
there's
Council.
two names on here. So go ahead, Mr. Ramirez.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Yes, we actually have Mr. Sigala here. He's one of the representatives from Sigala Inc. Just a little bit of background. You might recall that we went after a SB2 grant, of which Sigala Inc. helped us submit the application. So we were awarded $160,000. That's money specifically dedicated or allocated for the 35 acres where we were looking at master planning and doing a specific plan for that property. We've been engaged with the property owner. There's actually been several developers who are interested in the property and will be even more interested once that site actually has a conceptual plan and we go through the rezoning and we do the master plan. And there's going to be some workshops where the community can actually provide input, whether that be senior housing, multifamily housing, memory care facilities, a community village, mixed use, or senior housing. So there's a number of different things that are going to be incorporated into that parcel. So we need a firm that does the full services. And because this is a professional services agreement, we need not go out to bid or anything. We can basically select the firm. So Sigala Inc. is a local firm. It's minority owned. The last project that I'm aware of that was very successful was in Madera. And rather than take any of the thunder away, I'll let Mr. Sigala talk a little bit more about his firm and the projects he's done here in the Central Valley, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, Mr. Mayor, Council. Honored to be here tonight. Yeah, we're just following up on the work that's been done so far on the site in terms of concepts and discussions with the property owner and what have you. So this would be a project that we would manage A to Z, full service, meaning we'd also take on the role of prime contractor and hire all the subs to do the work as well. So it's a good approach. It allows you to get your work done faster with less things requiring formal legal sort of approval on the city side. So it's a good thing. I've done it before. I manage statewide contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts, some of them with the Air Resources Board and the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. Jose mentioned our Madera project. We led the cap and trade application for their $25 million project downtown, and we're successful there. So I have a big background in urban planning and transportation and housing. I have a master's in city and regional planning from Berkeley, from Fresno, just working here in the San Joaquin Valley, trying to help out as many communities as we can. So that's our background. We do community development work from the ground up. So as Jose said, we'll have community workshops for input, and we really like to do things the right way, from the bottom up and the top down in all kinds of directions, and coming up with a project and a product type that works best for your community. So we're here to serve you. We're here to help. If we can be helpful, just we're here for you. So I'll leave it to questions at this point.
Thank you. This item is now open to the public.
One other item, Mayor, that I wanted to share.
Go ahead, please.
Two things. One, because it's full service, we make Mr. Gala and his firm responsible for everything. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, it really cuts down on the time, because timing is always very important. There's so many shifts in the different markets. So moving this project along effectively and efficiently is very important. So thank you.
Even though I got my master's in city planning from UCLA, and he got his from Berkeley, it's good.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. I will reopen it, or I should never closed it, but it is still open to the public. Does anybody wish to come forward?
Diego Castillo, P.O. Box 855. I just want to thank you guys for, I don't have nothing to do with this project, but as a developer, one of the hidden costs, or the reason, in my opinion, that we have a deficit in housing throughout the state, it's because of the timeframes and lead time it takes to build product. So you guys are making it that much easier for any developer to come and make this turnkey. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, then this item is now closed to the public. Council discussion?
In some of your, in your letter to the city, in regard, you had stated something it's like homegrown businesses. What are you looking at for Livingston? What are you looking to bring to Livingston? Like the details of the, I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, were you addressing me or Randy?
No, you.
Okay, so can you read that sentence to me? Because I'm not following quite clearly.
One of the things that are listed here that you're going to be contracted to do is the land usage and the details of the open space and everything else like that. So with the land usage, it said that you had saw a critical need for a homegrown business that would truly understand the social and economic reality.
Oh, that was the background to our company as to why we founded our company. That wasn't necessarily the vision for Livingston.
Yeah, the vision for Livingston is going to be, through workshops and community input and all of you. And so at the end of the day, whatever that's going to look like based and using some of our living planning documents that we still have, that you have a copy of, will make sure that we form and provide the best for this community.
In the 12 months, how many workshops do you anticipate for our residents?
I should just stay up here, I apologize. I haven't talked that through for probably at least 2.
So there's 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Council, anybody else? To me, this is a grant, and it would probably help to move a lot of items forward. So, at this time, does anybody wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And the motion is?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Authorize the city manager?
To author
Okay.
professional service agreement between the City of Livingston and Singala Incorporated, and authorize our city manager to enter into contract in a form approved by city attorney.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it that way. My apologies.
I didn't hear you.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Batista. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Aguilar. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista?
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Sammer?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Council, any further business? If not, we are in adjournment. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.